Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you found your coziest spot. Maybe
Yeah.
you're looking out at the frost, or you're wrapped up with a warm mug in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
We are definitely leaning into that quiet, reflective winter moment today. And this entire deep dive, well, it's dedicated to you, the
Yeah.
learner, who's working so hard to feel confident in every single English conversation.
That's so right. For this deep dive, we are stepping away from, you know, the big geopolitical analysis and market trends. We're diving into something, well, much more intimate, but I think equally critical.
And what's that?
It's that sudden split-second moment in a conversation when your brain just freezes and you realize, wait a minute, I did not catch that, or I missed the meaning completely.
Oh, that feeling. And if this is your first time joining us, we want you to know you are in a really safe and supportive space.
Yeah.
This deep dive is brought to you as a specialized resource within Fluent Mindcast. And our channel is all about calm, cozy, and supportive guidance for English learners. Our mission today is, well, it's laser focused.
Yeah.
We want to arm you with the phrases that stop confusion right in its tracks.
So you feel more powerful.
Exactly. More powerful and less stressed when you simply need someone to, slow down
Right.
or explain something.
Because the core challenge we found in our sources,
Yeah.
it isn't really the language itself, it's the feeling. It's that surge of embarrassment, or that rush of awkwardness when you know you have to interrupt and ask someone to repeat themselves, or even worse, explain a concept.
Right.
So we want to start by just immediately reassuring you. Asking for clarity is not a failure of language learning. It is a completely normal, healthy, and an expected part of human communication in any language.
We have all been there, haven't we? Just quietly nodding along, desperately hoping the topic changes soon.
Yes.
While inside your mind is just shouting, what did they just say? What am I supposed to say back? We are going to break down that fear today by giving you the exact tools to handle those moments with grace.
And to make this really practical, we're setting a very specific tone for this. We're going to move slowly, intentionally, and we'll provide these gentle invitations for practice.
Okay.
So we really encourage you to use these moments to quietly or, even out loud, practice saying the simple, common phrases we introduce.
And there's no pressure here.
No pressure at all for perfection. The focus is only on finding a natural rhythm, on feeling comfortable enough to just let the words flow. This is all about building muscle memory for confidence.
I love that. So the big idea, really, from all of our source material is that we need to focus purely on the simple, polite phrases that native speakers use every single day.
Every single day.
To keep conversations flowing smoothly. These aren't, academic tools. They're the everyday linguistic shortcuts you need to stop guessing and start clarifying. You're moving from a passive listener into an active, engaged guide for the conversation.
That's a great way to put it, an active guide.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundational issue first, the mindset. The emotional challenge of feeling confused is often a much bigger barrier than the linguistic one.
Absolutely.
You might be listening and thinking, I should understand this by now. Why do I still need help? But our research makes it so clear. Misunderstanding is one of the most common experiences in human interaction. It happens constantly.
Even between native speakers.
All the time.
All the time. So that initial discomfort, it's completely natural, but we have to manage it so it doesn't cause you to just retreat into silence.
And that's the central finding from our analysis on communication dynamics. It's this: not staying silent or pretending to understand is the ultimate key to progress.
Okay, so silence is the real barrier.
Silence is the real barrier. When you actively speak up and use these clarification phrases, you instantly do three critical things. First, you honor your own learning.
Yeah.
Second, you keep the conversation alive.
Right.
And third, you show genuine, active interest in what the other person is saying, which is, that's highly valued socially. That distinction is so important. The idea that clarification is engagement, not failure. That's something you really have to internalize.
It is.
When you ask for clarification, you're really showing commitment. You're saying, I value what you're saying enough that I want to make absolutely sure I've understood it correctly.
And our source material had this fascinating segment on the native speaker perspective.
Oh, right.
The curiosity point here is that native speakers ask for clarification constantly, way more often than we realize.
Why is that?
Well, it could be a noisy environment, like trying to hear a name in a loud cafe, or someone speaks too quickly, maybe in a technical meeting, or maybe they were just distracted for a second.
So it happens for a million reasons.
A million reasons. And they clarify all the time, and they usually do it without stress. There's no big apology. They just use a quick, functional phrase to get the job done.
And that easy, low-stress, efficient approach is exactly what we want to help you adopt. It just fundamentally changes your perspective when you realize that asking for clarification isn't a learner-specific handicap. It's a universal tool. Everyone uses it to manage the flow of information.
It's just part of the messy human experience of conversation. It's not a test of your language skills.
Right.
And this leads us to the big long-term benefit of adopting this proactive mindset. When you start to see clarification as a reliable tool, instead of, a personal failure, it immediately helps reduce your anxiety and fear.
The whole conversation just feels lighter.
Lighter and more human. Our sources repeatedly stress that this proactive approach eventually becomes natural and confident.
So you stop being a passive recipient of information, just hoping you got it right.
And you become an active participant. You're confidently guiding the dialogue towards shared clarity.
You're basically trading the dread of misunderstanding for the confidence of knowing you have the tools to solve that little puzzle in the moment.
That's it exactly.
So, with this supportive mindset established, let's move into the practical toolkit. We'll start with the most common and simple scenarios, when the problem is just about audio clarity or how fast someone is speaking.
Okay, so this first section is all about the most immediate and common type of misunderstanding, the physical inability to hear the words clearly.
Right, the volume was too low, or maybe there's just too much background noise. A really common issue if you're on a glitchy video call or in a busy shop.
Exactly. So the issue here is purely technical. You just need the person to replay the sentence, usually a bit slower or a little louder.
And these are what we call your essential friendly interruption phrases. They're designed to quickly and politely signal, hey, I'm engaged, but I need a quick rerun of that audio, please.
Let's begin with core phrase 1. Our source materials consistently describe this one as the workhorse. It's one of the simplest, most polite, and most frequently used phrases.
And that is, sorry, I didn't catch that.
This phrase is just genius in its simplicity. It sounds incredibly friendly rather than formal, which makes it perfect for almost any interaction, from ordering a coffee to talking to a coworker.
And there's a powerful linguistic nuance here, isn't there? By saying, I didn't catch that, you're subtly placing the reason for the misunderstanding on the delivery.
Yes, or the environment, not on your comprehension skills.
Yeah, so you're framing it as a technical glitch, not a knowledge gap. That immediately relieves pressure on both sides of the conversation.
Right. The speaker thinks, oh, they just couldn't hear me, instead of this person doesn't understand English. And that small distinction is huge for a learner's confidence.
It is.
And here's where the pragmatic result kicks in. When you use this phrase calmly, our data confirms that 9 times out of 10, the speaker won't just repeat the sentence.
Oh, well, they do.
They will automatically repeat themselves more slowly and clearly, and that's the hidden win.
Oh, so you get the information you missed, and you've politely encouraged them to adjust their pace for the rest of the conversation.
You've gained clarity and pace control in one simple statement.
Okay, let's think of a scenario. You're on the phone with customer service, and they just rattle off a 16-digit account number way too fast. If you stay silent, you've got the wrong number. If you panic and say, please, you must say it again, that can sound a bit urgent, maybe even demanding.
A little aggressive, yeah.
But if you just calmly interject with, sorry, I didn't catch the last 4 digits, you get immediate cooperation and the slower repetition you need.
Let's look at the structure of that phrase. The sorry isn't a deep apology for being a burden. It's just a conversational marker that signals an interruption.
A polite interruption.
The important part is I didn't catch that. It implies that speed or volume was the problem. It's a really soft, effective way to pause the flow.
So we want to make sure you can really feel the natural rhythm of this phrase. It should be calm and steady, like you're just using a tool.
Let's say it slowly, and we invite you to practice repeating it out loud right now. Focus on keeping your voice calm and steady, like you're just adjusting a volume control.
Okay, let's pause now. Repeat slowly. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Let's try it one more time. Imagine you're at a noisy table, and you lean in slightly. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Now let's move to core phrase 2. This one is a little more direct and maybe more versatile, especially when you need someone to repeat the entire statement again.
And that phrase is, could you say that again, please?
This one is so clear, so respectful, and just universally applicable. It works in a professional meeting, a classroom, even a casual chat with a neighbor.
And the inclusion of the word could is a classic part of English politeness. It turns a command like, say it again, into a respectful, measured request.
It's a really crucial linguistic detail. English uses these indirect question structures, often with words like could or would,
Yeah.
to soften requests and just maintain politeness.
And adding please at the end is like the final cushion. It makes the request pretty much impossible to interpret as rude or demanding. It ensures you get what you need while reinforcing a positive interaction.
But here's where it gets interesting, with the reality of how people actually talk. While, could you say that again, please, is, perfect. Native speakers often use shorter forms.
Especially in less formal situations, yeah. They might drop the please or they might shorten it dramatically, depending on the context.
So what's the most common shortened form?
The simplest one is just the single word sorry, but it has to be said with an upward questioning inflection. Or sometimes you might hear pardon, or even come again.
But for a learner, maybe sticking with the full phrase is safer.
I think for a learner, relying on the full phrase, could you say that again, please, gives you safety, clarity, and guaranteed politeness. But it is important to recognize that a simple, highly inflected sorry is also very effective.
As long as your tone carries the question, not an apology.
Exactly. The real insight here is to choose the version you feel most confident using quickly. If you hesitate, you lose the chance to clarify.
So if you feel confident delivering that shorter sorry with the right upward tone, that's actually better than stumbling over the longer sentence.
Yes. The goal is always effectiveness and minimizing your own stress. We should practice that inflection. The rising tone is what signals the information gap and invites the speaker to fill it.
Okay, let's practice the polite, slightly shorter version first, and really focus on that light, questioning rhythm.
Pause now and repeat. Could you say that again?
And now, let's focus specifically on the tone of a quick, simple interruption. Try just the single word. Make sure your voice rises at the end so it signals a question.
Ready. Sorry.
By mastering just these two phrases, you really gain full control over the audio clarity of any exchange. You've learned how to politely interrupt, request a repeat, and even subtly guide the speaker's pace.
But what happens when you hear every word perfectly, but the words themselves, the meaning, just makes no sense?
Right. That's the next big hurdle.
This is a real pivot point. We're moving completely from problems with sound like speed or noise to problems with sense, vocabulary, concepts, idioms.
And these are arguably the most challenging moments for a learner. They're also the biggest learning opportunities.
Absolutely. This is where you might feel the greatest urge to just nod and move on.
Oh, definitely.
Because admitting you don't understand a key concept feels much scarier than admitting you couldn't hear a word.
But we're here to show you that asking for conceptual clarity is actually the fastest way to build your linguistic foundation.
So our first tool here, Core Phrase 3, is a perfect way to address that conceptual gap directly without having to single out a specific word.
And that phrase is, I don't quite understand what you mean.
I find this phrase so liberating. It shows genuine honesty and intellectual curiosity. You're signaling very clearly, I heard the words, but I haven't processed the meaning.
It's not about hearing, it's about meaning, which is so important, especially in, say, formal or academic settings.
And let's dive into the word quite for a second. It is such a crucial softener in this phrase.
How so?
Well, if you just say, I don't understand, it can sound a bit final, even abrupt. But I don't quite understand softens it. It implies you're close to getting it, you just need a small nudge or a different angle.
It's an invitation.
It's an invitation, not a declaration of total confusion. It invites the speaker to explain in a different way. They know immediately not to just repeat the same confusing words.
Instead, they'll rephrase the idea, maybe use simpler vocabulary or an analogy.
Or, most commonly, they'll automatically provide the examples you need. The insight from our source material confirms that this is a powerful learning tool.
So the moment you ask that question, the conversation shifts into explanation mode.
Exactly. You're getting instant, tailored instruction based on the exact gap in your knowledge. And those explanations often include new vocabulary presented naturally and in context, which makes it much easier to remember.
So asking for meaning is really an act of accelerated learning.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Let's visualize a scenario.
Yeah.
A colleague is talking about a company restructure and says something like, we're going to pivot toward a decentralized agile methodology.
Okay, jargon alert.
Right. You heard every word. You just have no idea what decentralized agile methodology means in practice. So instead of nodding,
You deploy the phrase, you might say, with a curious, thoughtful expression. That sounds important, but I don't quite understand what you mean by decentralized agile methodology in this context.
And that shifts the burden to the colleague to explain the concept, not just the word.
Right, and they might reply, oh, it just means we'll let each small team make their own decisions locally without waiting for headquarters.
And now you have the meaning.
Now you have it. So let's practice delivering this phrase with that friendly, curious tone. Make it sound like a request for more information, not an admission of defeat.
Okay, let's pause now and repeat slowly. I don't quite understand what you mean.
One more time and really focus on the softening effect of that word quite. I don't quite understand what you mean.
So what if you understood the main idea, but a specific part of it, like an idiom or some jargon, is the problem?
For that we have our next tool, Core Phrase 4, which is the most surgical option available.
And that is, can you give me an example?
This phrase is pure gold, especially when you're dealing with abstract ideas, idioms, or metaphors, and English is just full of them.
It really is. Someone might say, we need to hit the ground running, or that project is a real white elephant.
And you understand the individual words, but the combined meaning is, it's a mystery. Asking for an example forces that abstraction into a concrete reality.
The primary benefit here is memory, right?
Yeah.
Examples make things clearer and so much easier to remember.
Exponentially easier. When you anchor a concept to a specific situation or a story, you give your brain a physical point of reference. You're creating a memory link, not just memorizing a word.
And our sources highlight that this is the point where the speaker naturally switches into the simplest, clearest language they have.
They almost always do. When a native speaker has to produce a practical example, they often unconsciously strip away all the jargon.
So if you ask for an example of a white elephant,
They won't just repeat the definition. They'll say something like, well, you know that huge new stadium they built that cost billions but is now empty and unused? That's a white elephant.
and that image of the stadium becomes the new reference point in your memory. Later, when you hear the phrase, you recall the stadium, not the dictionary definition. It's such a powerful tool for contextual learning.
And let's think about the social aspect, too. Asking for an example doesn't question the speaker's knowledge. It actually complements it by asking them to apply it.
You're saying you clearly know this, so please demonstrate. It's a very collaborative request.
It is. So let's practice this direct and helpful request. Keep the tone light and focused, like a student who's eager to learn from a mentor.
Okay, pause now and repeat. Can you give me an example?
One more time, focusing on the intention of getting that concrete reference point. Can you give me an example?
So you now have the tools for both hearing issues and deep meaning issues. But, conversation is rarely so black and white.
No, it's messy.
What about those messy situations where you understood maybe 70% of the message, but you know that 30% gap is going to be critical later on?
Yes. This next section is all about strategic communication. These are the phrases that help you manage the speaker's expectations and actively define the boundaries of your understanding.
It's about being honest in a way that helps both of you move forward efficiently. We call it strategic honesty.
I like that. Strategic honesty. It's not just about what you don't know. It's about signaling to the speaker how they need to adjust their delivery right away.
Which prevents that terrible slow buildup of misunderstanding that can ruin a conversation later.
Exactly. So let's analyze core phrase 5, which is, I understand a little, but not everything.
This phrase is incredibly nuanced and so effective because it provides immediate guidance.
How so?
By saying this, you're telling the speaker you're not completely lost, so they don't need to backtrack 5 minutes. But you're also clearly indicating that there are still holes to fill, so they shouldn't speed up.
You're helping to guide the conversation very precisely.
Right. And the data suggests there's a psychological benefit here, too. Our research found this really surprising curiosity.
Oh.
Speakers are often relieved when you offer this kind of partial clarification.
Relieved. That's interesting.
Yeah. If you stay silent, they just assume you understand 100% and they speed up. If you suddenly interrupt much later, they can feel frustrated. But when you declare partial understanding up front, you give them permission to slow down and focus on the gaps.
That really underscores the idea that communication is a shared responsibility.
It really is.
The listener isn't just a passive sponge. When you use this phrase, you're taking responsibility for your side of the interaction, making it more manageable for both people. You're politely negotiating the pace.
Imagine you're at a small party, and a friend is telling a complicated story with a lot of people in places you don't know. You can just let the story go on and get more and more lost. Or you could gently pause and say, wait, I understand a little about what happened, but I'm not sure who Sarah is in this story.
And that allows the friend to quickly clarify that one point.
And then you can jump right back into the narrative with confidence. Crucially, this phrase avoids the need for a massive repetition. You're inviting surgical clarification.
So let's practice saying this with a calm, cooperative tone. It should signal openness and collaboration, not distress.
Okay, pause now and repeat. I understand a little, but not everything.
Try to emphasize the balance in that statement, the little and the not everything, to show you're engaged. Let's try again.
I understand a little, but not everything.
Now we come to core phrase 6, and this is perhaps the most powerful and strategic tool available to a learner because it instantly sets the entire context for the conversation.
And what's that?
Simply explaining the context. English is not my first language.
This simple statement is completely acceptable and widely respected. It's like an instantaneous conversational recalibration tool.
A recalibration tool. I like that.
It's like holding up a little flag that says, please apply patience, speak clearly, and maybe avoid complex regional slang. It reduces the pressure on you dramatically and explains the situation for the speaker.
This is using vulnerability as a strength, and we should talk about the strategic use of this phrase. I know some learners hesitate. They worry it might make them look incapable.
Right.
But in most social, casual, or supportive business settings, the opposite is true. By stating this simple fact, you instantly gain so much patience and kindness from your conversational partner. They know why you might ask for clarification later.
So should you always use this phrase?
That's a good question. Maybe not in a high-stakes standardized test or if you're specifically trying to pass as fluent, but for 99% of daily interactions, talking to a neighbor, a colleague, a shopkeeper, this phrase is a relationship builder.
That's so true. The research highlights this genuine curiosity that many native speakers actively enjoy helping learners.
They really do. They often react by slowing down, offering clear help, or even sharing their own struggles with learning a language. This simple sentence just humanizes the interaction and makes it friendly.
You're opening the door to collaboration. You're giving the other person permission to be helpful, and most people really want to be.
So we want to practice this one with confidence. This is a statement of fact, not an apology. It should be delivered with calm clarity.
Let's pause now and practice saying it. Focus on clear, steady articulation. English is not my first language.
One more time with that essential confidence and clarity. English is not my first language.
These tools provide that strategic honesty. They ensure that even when you're partially lost, you can guide the conversation back to a place of clarity.
And now let's look at a technique that flips the script entirely. We're moving from asking a question to making a confirming statement.
This is a crucial advanced technique. Instead of making the other person do all the work of repeating or rephrasing,
You actively confirm what you believe you understood. This is a real hallmark of high-level communication. It's used extensively in professional and academic settings.
this is the active listener's power move. It comes in the form of phrases like, so you mean that? Or the slightly more formal version, are you saying that? Followed by your summary of the information.
Our analysis shows why this is so critical.
Yeah.
First, it helps confirm information immediately and avoids major mistakes down the line.
Right.
And second, it demonstrates the highest degree of active listening and engagement. You're proving you didn't just hear the words, you are processing the concepts and putting them into your own linguistic framework.
Let's use a detailed example. You're getting instructions on how to use a new software tool at work. The manager has given 5 steps.
Okay.
You could say, so you mean that step 3 requires me to click the blue icon before I save the document, not after?
And even if you got it slightly wrong, maybe you need to click the green icon, you've isolated the ambiguity.
That efficiency is key. By repeating back your understanding, even if you're slightly incorrect, the other person can easily adjust or clarify that one single error.
They don't have to start their entire explanation over from the beginning. They can just say, yes, exactly, but make sure it's the green icon.
Compare that to the alternative. If you just nod, and later you try to do the task and you click the wrong icon, the whole process fails. This confirmation technique is an immediate, low-effort check.
And it instantly transforms a potential point of confusion into a moment of powerful collaboration.
I like that word, collaboration.
You're working together to build a shared, correct understanding. And the long-term subconscious benefit is huge. Using this technique regularly improves your confidence in expressing complex ideas in English.
Because you're constantly practicing how to synthesize and rephrase information into your own words. It's proactive flow management.
We have one final crucial curiosity point here, and it circles back to our first section. The dangers of silence are so much greater than the discomfort of asking a question. If you don't understand something, staying quiet is an automatic invitation for massive misunderstandings later on, which usually causes way more stress than the initial request for clarity.
And the research is so clear on this. Simple, direct phrases like, I'm not sure I understand that part, are always infinitely better than quiet nodding.
And we have to remember, even native speakers make this mistake. Our sources noted that countless professional and social misunderstandings happen simply because no one takes that step to confirm or clarify.
So speaking up protects both of you. It keeps the conversation accurate and maintains that relaxed, efficient atmosphere.
Let's just practice the open framing of this collaborative technique. Imagine you're summarizing a friend's advice on planning a trip. We'll just use the collaborative opener.
Okay, let's pause now and repeat. So you mean that?
And one more time, focusing on that collaborative, inquisitive tone. So you mean that?
Wonderful. You are now equipped with a full toolkit. It spans from simple repetition requests to deep conceptual clarity, all the way to active confirmation. You are no longer just reacting, you're actively guiding.
Exactly.
So let's bring all of this learning together now. The most important summary we can offer is this. This deep dive into what to say when you're confused isn't just about memorizing 6 phrases.
No, it's not.
It's fundamentally about building genuine confidence and permanently adopting a supportive, positive mindset towards your own learning.
That is the essential insight. Every single time you successfully use one of these tools, whether it's a simple, sorry, I didn't catch that, or strategically asking for an example, you are engaging in the most effective form of real communication. These moments have to be reframed in your mind. They are unambiguous signs of progress, not evidence of failure. They are proof that you are active and capable.
And think about the long view. The sources offer this powerful reassurance. With consistent, gentle practice using these phrases, you'll naturally notice you need these phrases less and less often.
And why is that?
Because you're no longer relying on guesswork. Every clarification you receive fills in a gap in your knowledge, which leads to organic improvement in your comprehension.
And until you get to that point, these 6 expressions are your best allies. They're your reliable, stress-free conversational safety net.
We often forget that the true goal of speaking English isn't to achieve perfect, unblemished grammar or to never make a mistake.
Not at all.
It's about being reliably understood and successfully staying connected to the people around you, your colleagues, your family, your friends. These phrases are the immediate, reliable bridge across any gap of confusion.
Beautifully said.
Now, for our final provocative thought for you, the listener, this is where we encourage practical application right now. We need you to stop aiming for an impossible standard of perfection.
And instead,
Start focusing on tangible connectivity. We encourage you to decide today, as you settle into this quiet winter moment, which 1 or 2 phrases we talked about feel the most natural and useful for your own daily routine.
and then commit to using those 1 or 2 chosen phrases, even in a low-stakes environment, just once this week.
Yeah. Maybe it's asking, could you say that again? When you're ordering lunch?
Or perhaps using, I don't quite understand what you mean, when you're reviewing a detailed email. The tiny, gentle action you take today is what guarantees those large, confidence-boosting results tomorrow.
That brings us to the close of this deep dive into conversational clarity. Thank you so much for joining us in this calm space and for dedicating this valuable time to gentle, consistent practice. Remember, real progress in language learning isn't about massive, stressful leaps. It's about making small, supported steps every single day.
And we hope you feel incredibly supported in this journey. Remember that misunderstandings aren't insurmountable obstacles. They are simple opportunities for communication, and you now possess the clear, polite tools to seize those opportunities with immediate confidence and grace.
We hope you found this supportive guide helpful for achieving clearer conversations and reducing stress in your everyday English. Thank you for listening to The Deep Dive.
And if you're looking for more calm, supportive, real-life English practice during this winter season, be sure to explore the resources available on Fluent Mindcast.
Until next time, keep clarifying, keep connecting, and above all, keep learning confidently.